Better World Part 2. This is one of the few that I don't remember all of it, but I've seen most of it from back in the day, as it were. But it's a really solid episode. Essentially, you have the uh, an alternate version of the Justice League try to come and take over already the I wanted to say our universe, but that's we don't have flying Kryptonians and people who can run at the speed of light. But the DC, the normal DC anime universe in terms of the animated universe, that's the thing with the DC and the multiverse and all that stuff. And there's so many takes. He even trying to say are normal or that doesn't. There's so much, Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 50 bajillion in the apocalypse's rectum. It's a, the DC plays with the multiverse quite a bit in their days, and thankfully we only have to deal with two universes. Our normal animated universe and this kind of push extra hard world. I was trying to universe. Stumbling over my words here. And if I'm stumbling over my words after my second beer, there's trouble in them thar hills. But the opener is really good because it seems like a normal opener, and it has Lex Luthor in the White House. They never go out of the way, but presumably as president. I don't remember if the idea of Lex Luthor as president started in the animated universe and crossed over, or if it started in the comics and then the animated universe decided to use it. I don't remember which one, because Lex Luthor was president for a while. Of course, who knows if that's still canon or not with the New 52, but pre-New 52, Lex Luthor was president for a time. And then he got impeached and thrown out, and then he claimed it was a clone, and that he'd been stuck in another dimension. But that's back when Superboy Prime was punching the universe, and the less we talk about Countdown and Infinite Crisis, the better. So, Lex Luthor pretty much has Superman at a stalemate. And I don't even really buy that there was no way where he could do it without being lethal. But he's like, you can't stop me unless you're willing to kill me. And Superman's just been pushed to this point where he's like, you know what? I wanted to be here, I wanted to be a hero, but if this is where it leads to, screw it. And blows Luthor to hell. And still you go, oh, are they going to go back in time? This could still be our universe. What's going on? Maybe this is an alternate, maybe this is like a VR thing. I don't know. But the end line is very chilling where he's just Superman's looking out the window and they ask him, if he's all right, and he just turns and he's like, I'm fine, and smiling. And you go, that is not the reaction Superman should be having to that. That is really not good. Even Batman is at that pressure point where he just walks in and sees this napalm nuked Luthor and is just like, oh, had to be done. Which, he could be maybe swayed to see that point, but he's not going to just automatically accept this. Not even from Superman. That's not Batman's style. That's another tip-off that we're not dealing with our normal world. So it goes back, and it goes to 2 years later, and you get to see this world, and they all have different costumes now, variations. I mean, they're still the same characters, obviously, but there's the I don't know. It's not. They just seem the costumes are different enough, and they just seem more imperial, more militaristic in a way. The They seem less superhero-y. They seem more like kind of super villainy. Kind of like you would kind of yeah, like you would see supervillain. I kept trying to think of something better, but no, they kind of supervillain garb. Superman's kind of got this Doctor Blight vibe. Green Lantern just kind of has this color inversion, but it makes and a shaved head, but it kind of makes him seem more punk in a way. I don't know. Maybe it's the wrong term for it. Uh, Hawk Girl has this way more, you know, she always had the kind of the helmet, the mask thing, but this is way more. I mean, it's more immediately understood that it's warlike. It's that's all it is. It's a war helmet. There's no adornment or feathers or any of that jazz. Um, Wonder Woman's is just kind of pared down, but she has really cropped hair. Uh, Batman's is kind of weird. He has like this metal shield and weirder ears. I don't think it was. Batman's suit is so kind of economical as it is, especially if the way they are choosing to portray it in this show, that you have to add crap to it. You can't take away or slim it down. You have to make it more bulky and weird. Uh, so it seems odd. I mean, anytime they've like even in the Savage Times where they have him like in this like riot gear. Anytime they go for alternate Batman, he always has to be more bulky because they've pretty much streamed him down as much as they can. Uh, so they're all living in this happy totalitarian where they pretty much rule the world. They are the government. I mean, they fight to save, they fight natural disasters, but they'll throw protesters in jail. They've suspended elections. It's that superhero one step too far. Uh, they've done that kind of story multiple times in comics and other things. A creature of power who decides, I have this power, so why shouldn't I be the one in charge? And I can do it better. It's almost kind of they use the collapse of Lex Luthor's execution, and then there's this power vacuum. Who knows what the vice president was? Maybe their Bush analog was the vice president, but there's a real power vacuum there, and they stepped in, and they never let go, and they were able to take it just beyond the United States and go global with it. Mostly because who's going to oppose them? I mean, between the Justice League, that's one of the reasons, even though it was the Justice League of America, and most times they just pared down the Justice League now, uh, in the comics and otherwise. That's why they can't be for one government. They have to be separate. That's the reasons the Avengers, to go back to Marvel, had the UN backing. So it was a UN sanctioned force. It wasn't for America or for the Sudan or whoever. It was a multinational force centrally based in America, but not, you know, it's the same thing with the Justice League. They can't ever just be, we are for America and we're against, you know, everyone who's not that or doesn't want to conform to our ideals right now. That's the reason they can't do that. That crosses a line, and you can't go back. It's interesting and pathetic that Superman has essentially kidnapped Lois and keeps her locked up. And for some reason, he seems to think that Lois Lane is going to go with this. I mean, even it's kind of our Lois Lane, the Lois Lane we know from the comics and the animated universe, wouldn't put up with this. And even this version is kind of like, you know, Superman won't risk her being harmed or her being out in this world that he's deemed too complicated and dangerous, and even, yeah, it has to go and think that she would be a liability if he let her run free. So even though it's a twisting of his love for Lois Lane, that now she is literally a prisoner. And that's dark, and it's kind of like they have this scene where they're trying to have dinner and it just goes south very quickly. Lois just starts railing against all this stuff that he's doing, and he just, it's so beyond him and past him. He's like, this is for everyone's good, so, I can't deal with your nagging. Kind of like some kind of superhuman domestic spat. So they decide that, we've saved the world, and Green Lantern and Hawk Girl have, now they've officially got together. And the world is so much better now that we've, fixed everything and fixed everybody. So Batman's sitting in this cave, and he builds this dimensional teleporter. Essentially, the idea is, what else do I got to do? And he comes across the regular DC animated universe, the ones we've been watching, and they're fighting Luthor, and their Flash is still alive because the Flashes got killed at some point in their universe, and they decide that our guys are doing a shit job, and they should go fix our world too. So they trick our guys. Capture them in their home dimension, come to ours. Doomsday shows up. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm pro these guys, but it's this huge fight, and it is Doomsday. They don't really feel out the character well enough, where you get that sense. And it is this big fight, and if you know Doomsday, you know the level of threat they're dealing with. So when that version of Superman lobotomizes him, it's out of character, but it's not, I don't even necessarily want to say it's entirely impossible that Superman would ever do that, but he would have to be pushed way harder to do that than this character was. But considering they have the mower going, I'm going to cut this off, and I will see you in part 2.